Welcome to the Retro Video Store Podcast.
Welcome, everyone, to the Retro Video Store Podcast. I'm your host, Eric.
Hi, Eric.
And that's my co-host, Neil.
I'm Neil. And who else has sat here and been thoroughly criticized and wrought upon pre-recording other than myself?
Yeah, I thought 2025 was going to be a new year. Things were going to change, but no, just roll the shit into it. And yeah, I'm back.
He was kind of being judgmental, being a little bit of a dick
kind of
before we started
roast mode on my friends. Yeah. So this is the first episode of the new year, and I guess I was thinking about that every time it's a potential that somebody's listening to the podcast for the first time. So I just wanted to say we are the Retro Video Store. We watch crappy movies and then talk about them. Sometimes the movies aren't so crappy, and they're classics of the video store era, and sometimes they're crappy, like the movie that we're about to talk about today, Terror Train from 1980.
Any resolutions, gents?
Watch more slashers this year. Hype the podcast more this year. Try to get more listeners.
5 would be fucking stellar.
Yeah, move from 4 to 5. That'd be amazing.
Big leap.
Mm-hmm.
Dave, other than having an arm that works completely.
I don't have any.
No? I myself am going to refrain from Chuck Norris jokes on the podcast. Going to leave them completely alone.
You're going to have one today.
I know. I'm a weak.
I know you're going to have one loaded already. You're going to have one loaded already. Man.
Did you know that Chuck Norris can gargle peanut butter?
Mm-hmm.
Did you know Chuck Norris once threw a grenade and killed 21 people, and then the grenade exploded?
Hold on.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.
Okay. Did you know they once named this one's great. Do you know they once named a street after Chuck Norris? But they had to change it because no one crosses Chuck Norris.
Actually, that was pretty good.
Thank you.
I'll give that one credit. That one wasn't too bad. Yeah.
All right.
So what we do, if you're a first-time listener, is we usually kind of talk about what movies we've watched over the past week. And since we haven't had an episode in 2 weeks, because we took a little bit of a winter break, I bet you expect that we have a lot to talk about when it comes to what you have watched. So let's talk to David first. David, what have you watched over this winter break?
Let's see. Well, you guys all know that I went and watched Nosferatu.
Mm-hmm. How was that?
It was good. I liked it. I need to think a little more about it, but it was good. And I hate myself enough and have so little self-respect that I watched Transformers one day. I don't know why, but I sat down and watched.
Which one of them? The original?
Yeah, the first, whatever Michael Bay did in like 2005 or 6.
The one with Megan Fox?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I just thought, well, I'll give it another shot. And then I decided to hate myself even more. And I watched, I watched Godzilla versus Kong, and then Godzilla X Kong or whatever, to just really like I wanted to hit some lows to start the year off on a high and watch Nosferatu.
Yeah, those Godzilla movies, the MonsterVerse ones, aren't very good.
No.
They're not.
No. And then some various rabbit holes down YouTube on tsunamis and random shit that I'd get caught up in. But other than that, a lot of football. Neil, what'd you watch?
No football, oddly enough. So I wrote down the list. It was extensive because I was going to try to keep track of it. Pixels.
That's fun.
It is fun. Y2K.
I want to see that one. I haven't seen that one yet.
It's stupid fun.
What streaming service is it on? Is it on streaming service?
It's stupid. I don't remember what service we did, but we had to buy it, so we did it, and it was stupid. It was fun. I went and watched Nosferatu.
Mm-hmm.
That encouraged me to watch the original one, which is on Tubi. I'm almost done with it. I paused it actually to come and talk to you guys. for being over 100 years old, that movie's pretty fucking outstanding.
There's another one, the 1979 Werner Herzog Nosferatu with Isabella Gianni and Klaus Kinski playing Nosferatu, which is pretty much a faithful remake of the original as far as I know. I have not seen all of it.
It's good, but like Nosferatu, I enjoyed. It is a artsy movie. This is actually pretty good.
What is funny is that most people young people know Nosferatu from SpongeBob SquarePants from the hash slinging slasher episode where he's the one turning the lights on and off. They're like Nosferatu, and you see him and he's turning the scare the kids. I remember that was an amazing episode, probably the best SpongeBob episode.
Nerd. All right. Speaking of nerd, I watched Zoolander 2.
Oh, I heard it's not very good.
It's stupid. Mm-hmm. It's stupid. I was in the mood for stupid movies. I had my holidays were stressful. My holidays sucked. I was looking for just dumb entertainment, and I watched Y2K and Zoolander 2 on the same day. And that was enough to put me in a place because it required absolutely no thought. I watched Becky and Wrath of Becky. Speaking of stupid movies, Dodgeball, good. Little, and randomly because it was on, I watched The Long Kiss Goodnight, which is fucking horrible. Wolves.
I've thought about putting that on our watch list.
The Long Kiss Goodnight. Oh, you should do it. It's so bad. It's so bad. It'd be so much fun to talk about. Wolves. Brad Pitt and George Clooney, and Mitchell's versus the Machines. We sat down and watched.
Well, I heard that is really good on Netflix. I heard it was a pretty fun.
Yeah, it is. It's actually a really fun family movie. A lot of it's very, very quippy. And then I started the original Nosferatu. I haven't gotten through that, and then I got maybe 10 minutes into the remake on Tubi of Terror Train.
Oh, okay. I wanted to watch the remake of Terror Train. I didn't get a chance to yet.
Yeah, I got a little bit in there. Yeah, I got to say they're using a resuscitation Annie instead of just like, an armless, legless cadaver that they pulled from their med school. So I don't know if it's going to have quite the same shock value.
That should not have the same impact. Yeah.
Yeah. Not going to feel the need to wrap myself in diaphanous curtains and spin in a circle.
Yeah.
So that's what I watched. Yep, right. That's what Dave watched, and that's what I watched.
That's good.
That's what we watched, the two of us. That's what was on in our house.
Nobody's gonna feed me the line there.
Eric, what did you watch?
Oh my god, I watched a lot of crap. I watched a tremendous amount of football, including the terrible, obscure bowl games like the Duke's Mayo Bowl and the First Responder Bowl and the Pop-Tart Bowl. All these really obscure bowl games they're on all the time, so I just kind of watch it. Some of them are pretty good, some are pretty bad.
The Duke's Mayo Bowl sounds like something you'd pay extra for in Vegas.
Yeah, well, if you win, they douse the coach in mayo. So, yeah. Watching NFL, right now is prime football season, and I must say I do enjoy the fact that the college football playoffs are going to last all the way till January 20th. It's amazing to me. I love it. So I've been watching a shitload of college football. I did watch Old School yesterday. That was on, and I enjoyed it. Super funny. It's a good one. I watched Scream 6 because that's been on Showtime a lot lately. I watched that, and one day I spent about 2 hours looking through every streaming service I have to see if there was a horror movie I could watch in an hour and a half. And I spent more time looking for the movie than having actually watched it, because by that time I had run out of time. So I looked through Paramount Plus, which has a decent horror movie selection. Peacock has a decent one. Tubi has some crazy stuff. I sent you guys a screenshot of some movie called Rectuma about a guy who has got a haunted butthole or something like that. It's something really, really weird. There's a movie called
The Weird Butthole Frog that jumps in there.
He gets humped by a weird butthole frog. There's a movie called Return to Blood Fart Lake on Tubi. And they have a lot of those mockbusters where instead of Transformers, they have Transmorphers. Instead of Pacific Rim, they have like Atlantic Rim. And it's
Specific
just,
rim.
Yeah, so it's just really, they have a lot of those. So just a lot of bizarre stuff to look at on Tubi, which I just think is still the funnest free streaming service that there is. Pluto TV got rid of their Godzilla channel because they'd lost their rights ran out. So that really made me sad because that was the only reason I really watched Pluto TV.
Roku got rid of the Battle of the Planets channel as well.
So, yeah, it's a bummer.
Nobody can see me shaking my head in disgust. What?
I know. The movie last time I checked on, the only movie that was worth watching on Pluto that I checked out a month or two ago was called The Story of O. It's a really awful erotic, just a erotic movie from the 70s, and it is bad. Really, really, really bad. I've only watched it twice since so bad.
It's so awful. I've only seen it 2 times. There was a movie on there called Clitoris, but I couldn't find it.
The one troubling thing that's been troubling my family and that I've been torturing with. Yeah, my viewing habits, but also my listening habits. I've been listening to a lot of Kiss this past week and a half. Just a lot of Kiss. I just enjoy the cheesy, sleazy 70s vibe, and then also the awful 80s hair metal vibe. I know it's bad. I know they suck. I know they're terrible songwriters, but there's something that just that appeals to me that I can listen to Kiss all day. Just been doing that lately. I don't know why, but it is torturing my son and my wife when they get in the car and I have Kiss Essentials playing. And they're like, God. Then I look through my vinyl albums and I realize I have a bunch of Kiss albums I haven't got yet. You guys are shaking your heads at me.
Yeah, there's really just not much to say. It's just we're absorbing the sadness, I think, really. We're just kind of taking in the sadness.
One of my favorite things is to hear Paul Stanley, like when he's talking during a song, his accent, his New York accent is so strong. Star Child. And it's just or there's an edit on YouTube. I don't know if it's still there or not, where it's just his stage banter for like an hour and a half. I think that would it's like illegal in the Geneva Convention to make somebody listen to Paul Stanley's stage banter for an extended period of time. It is so bad. Yes.
I wonder why Paul Stanley became Christopher Walken when you were.
He says that if you watch Kiss Me Some Phantom of the Park, which we need to someday, you will see his acting chops.
I'll sit that one out.
Mm-hmm. Sit that one out. It's good.
I watched the clips that you've texted
when they're fighting like these white werewolves.
Yeah. Big ass platform shoes doing like weird ass like bent knee crescent kicks and shit, like knocking these guys right and left and breathing fire.
Ace Frehley's stunt doubles an African American guy, and they just keep switching back and forth. It's so hilarious. Yeah, it's amazingly bad. But we're not here to talk about my obsession with Kiss. We're here to talk about Terror Train from 1980. Neil, had you seen this before?
No, this was all brand new to me.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, this was all brand new, and I can't get that time back. It's gone now.
I always thought the Terror Train had a good poster.
Jamie Lee Curtis couldn't even save this movie for me.
Yeah.
The weird chick with the strangely shaped boobs and the white underwear could not save this movie.
The Terror Train has a cool poster where he's wearing the mask with he's got this knife in his hand and it says conductor, and but he's not wearing the mask that he wore when he was dressed as a conductor, but it's a pretty iconic poster. David, when did you see this movie first?
Today.
Really?
Yeah. You're so surprised.
The shock in his voice was the best part. What? You mean you haven't dedicated time to watching this?
Terror Train?
No. I didn't even know it existed.
Really, I've seen this movie probably at least 5 times through the years. And this last time made me realize that it's pretty damn boring.
Just
It
now?
is. I think the last time I watched it, a lot of how I appreciate horror movies comes to my mindset when I'm ready to watch it. Like when we watched Prom Night, Neil and I both loved it just because I think we were in the mood to watch a slasher movie, and it was fun. But this one is just boring, and Jamie Lee Curtis doesn't really leave much of an impression. And she does something kind of mean at the beginning of the movie, so you kind of don't like her because she's participates in a hazing thing where this poor guy is traumatized for life. So you're supposed to sympathize with her, and you kind of don't. Yeah.
I honestly, in a slasher movie, it's supposed to be about the girl.
Mm-hmm.
Always about the girl. This one was more about the fucking conductor.
Yeah, they wasted a lot of time talking to the conductors, and it went nowhere. And
well, that's the thing. They're like, we're on a long, narrow train. How are we going to make this suspenseful? We can't. We have really messed up, but man, we owe our investors a return on this. We got to figure out. We got to pad this up with something. Thank God that they had their job titles on their hats, so we knew who we were talking to.
Yeah, and obviously David Copperfield is in this movie, and he wasn't written into the original script. And I think that the producer liked him and then hired him, and they used him to pad out this movie with like, who wants to see magic tricks on film? You know?
Yeah. I hate magic. Magic is bullshit. Freaking hate magic. Stupid.
Yeah, it's
third grader could do that, bro.
Yeah, everybody's unlikable. There are no likable people in this movie at all.
The blonde dude with the glasses.
The blonde dude with the glasses.
Yes,
the one, the mayor, the one they call the Prez or something like that.
Yeah, and he was the one that was doing the sarcastic speech.
Yeah.
And then he goes and tries to like help her out, like, no, come on, you'll be fine, come this way. He was like the only one that was like even mildly trying to be a good human being.
Yeah.
In that whole whole train. Well, and then we're gonna leave the conductor, and we're gonna leave the brakeman. And I know, you know how I know he's the brakeman? Said so right on his fucking hat.
Mm-hmm.
And
shovels.
And shovels. Oh, there were shovels.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But shovels, well, they don't run any trains by that mall, do they? You not helping yourself, young man.
Shovels believed that trains are going to be, the next wave of transportation, though. He really did.
He felt it in his heart. How dare he shit on his dream like that?
You want to hit us with the Internet Movie Database tagline there?
Yeah. 3 years after a prank went terribly awry, the 6 college students responsible are targeted by a masked killer at a New Year's Eve party aboard a moving train.
Hence the title.
Terror Train.
Terror Train, yes. This movie was directed by Roger Spottiswoode, and he actually has directed some legit movies. This one was his directing debut. He did a movie called The Pursuit of D.B. Cooper, which I remember seeing as a kid. Came out like 91. In 1981. I remember it was about the guy who jumped out of an airplane, bank robber. He did The Best of Times with Robin Williams and Kurt Douglas. Or Kurt Russell, I'm sorry, Kurt Russell and Robin Williams. That was actually not too bad. He did Turner and Hooch, Air America, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot, Tomorrow Never Dies. So that's probably the movie that his most successful film is the James Bond movie from 1997. So he had some legitimate movies.
I'm not gonna have you gloss over Turner and Hooch like that.
Yeah.
talk about some fucking James Bond schlock. There's been a million of those. How many Turner and Hooch movies have we had? We had a few cop dog movies come out, but none could surpass Turner and Hooch.
I'm going to say that I have never seen Turner and Hooch.
And then didn't Jim Belushi do one? He did a cop dog movie as well.
Yeah, I think so too. Wasn't it called K9?
Something like that.
Yeah. Today at work, Air Bud was on one of the TVs. I'm like, Air Bud.
That has a whole new meaning in Colorado.
Yeah. But that dog was traveling all over the place. 3-second violations. He was just, he was making fouls all over the place. Stupid dog.
So which he's got 4 legs. So which do you count for the steps? Do you watch the front? Do you watch the back?
Yeah, and he's not even dribbling. He's just bouncing it off his nose. Cat is meowing again. So the movie was written by Thomas Y. Drake, and I say why?
As in, why did you write this?
Why did you write this movie? Executive producer Daniel Grodnick says, "Hey, let's make Halloween on a train." And from concept to filming, it took 4 months, and it shows because there's like really nothing in the script besides the terrible motivation at the beginning of the movie. The set direction is terrible. It's just super thrown together, and it was using a Canadian tax shelter to help produce it. So it had to have a certain number of Canadian crew and Canadian actors, and it had to be done by the end of 1979. So they finished shooting it on December 23rd of 1979. So they got it right in under the wire. They thought it was going to make a lot of money, like Halloween, and it did not. It had a budget of $3.5 million and a box office of only $8 million. And this was made directly after Prom Night, which is a far superior movie.
It made its money back.
Yeah, it made its money back.
It had a modest profit.
Yeah. And they said
4 months of work. For 4 months of work, did all right.
They were saying it didn't make as much money because the market was oversaturated with slasher films. And we have talked about this a lot, but I'd like to bring up the horror films of 1980 because it is an amazing year. Just so many amazing, awesome horror movies from 1980. Just a ridiculous murderer's row, no pun intended, of horror movies. Alligator came out in 1980, which we're going to do in Monster March. Altered States, which we need to do sometime, is amazing. There's a movie called The Awakening. I remember. Look at that poster with the mummy. Remember the poster in the video store with The Awakening? Amazing. The Boogeyman, Cannibal Apocalypse, and Cannibal Holocaust.
There we go.
Some Italian cannibal cycle was in full swing. The Children, which is I think is Spanish. No, it's a new group of 5 children in a small New England town transformed into zombies. Christmas Evil, City of the Living Dead by Lucio Fulci came out. Death Ship.
That had a great poster.
Yeah, that's a good one. Don't Answer the Phone. Don't Go in the House. Eaten Alive. It's another cannibal movie. Erotic Nights of the Living Dead. Italian. The Fog. John Carpenter. Friday the 13th came out that year. Amazing. See, Hell of the Living Dead is on Tubi, and I want to watch it because it's supposed to be ridiculous. Bruno Mattei directed it. He's infamous for lots of Italian horror movies, so hopefully I'll try to get that done this week to watch Hell of the Living Dead. Just look at the poster. It was also known as Virus. The House at the Edge of the Park by Ruggero Deodato, also another Italian movie. Humanoids from the Deep is another amazing one. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Fishmen are like sexually assaulting ladies all over the place to spawn. Roger Corman movie. Inferno by Dario Argento. That is the third or the second of the Three Mothers trilogy after Suspiria. Macabre by Lamberto Bava. So many Italian movies, man. Maniac, which is the very notorious slasher. Motel Hell. Hell yeah. It's a good one. Need to do that eventually. Mother's Day. That is just an awful movie. That is one of those upsetting still today movies. Night of the Demon, which is about a Sasquatch who kidnaps a woman and breeds with her, and also swings a guy around in a sleeping bag and impales him on it.
Yeah.
The guy's like, ah! Look up Sleeping Bag Kill on Night of the Demon on YouTube. It's hilarious. Prom Night, Return of the Wolfman, Satan's Slave, The Shining, The Watcher in the Woods, a little Disney horror movie there, and Zombie Holocaust. So Without Warning was actually a pretty good one, where like these aliens throw these little discs on the people's backs and then they attach to them. It's a freaky one. Yeah. Talk about early video store days, 1980. You can't beat it.
I was just going through looking at the posters. I remember so many. I remember so many of those.
That's what I was doing too. I was trying to keep up, and yeah.
What I loved in Encounters of the Spooky Kind, a Hong Kong movie with directed by Sammo Hung. What I remember, and I think it was the Movie Barn in Farmington, which was like a movie barn, where they had the wood paneling, and I just loved the horror movie posters that they had on the walls. It always just freaked me out. And they had that zombie, "We're Going to Eat You," the Italian zombie movie that's always scared the shit out of me. And I always felt like a little, like maybe I shouldn't be in this section looking at the horror movies, it just felt a little odd, a little taboo, but it was just one of the best times to freak yourself out by looking at the horror movie boxes. Some good stuff. And that the people who owned that video store didn't know the kind of depravity they were renting out to people. All right, enough padding out that Terror Train, everybody.
Like, yeah, you're doing this one all by yourself. You're trying to stretch the time out. This was actually kind of entertaining.
So we got the cast. Jamie Lee Curtis. I did like Sandy Curry as Mitchie. She was kind of cute, but she dies really, really early. She was kind of a cute in that late 70s way.
I couldn't tell you who a damn person's name was in this movie.
Me too. I'm just doing my best to try.
She was wearing the black dress, and she got pulled into the upper bunk with the lizard, guy in the lizard. When he was wearing the lizard costume. Want to hit us with a critical consensus?
Yeah, there's a little bit. Let's go. Variety deemed the film competent.
That's such a meek praise. It's competent.
Yeah, I've had the same thing happen to me in a court of law, so it's fine. Ebert gave the film 1 out of 4 stars, writing the classic horror films of the 1930s appealed to the intelligence of the audiences, to their sense of humor and irony. Movies like Terror Train and all of its sordid predecessors and its ripoffs, still to come, just don't care. They're a series of sensations strung together on a plot. Any plot will do. Just don't forget the knife and the girl and the blood. However, he conceded that it's not a rock-bottom budget schlock exploitation film. Ed Blank of the Pittsburgh Press, hotbed of opinion, Mr. Blank, criticized the film for its lack of characterization, saying the movie was not as good as its neat title. Neat. A review of the Los Angeles Times praised the film's atmosphere and characterized it as scary. Richard Corliss of the Time also praised the film's style, calling it sleek and eerie. Bill Kelly of the Fort Lauderdale News was critical of the film's illogical plot developments and cliches, but ultimately deemed it a respectable, if that's the word, exploitation movie. Jackie Tully of the Arizona Daily Star, oh man, I can't get enough of Jackie Tully and the Arizona Daily Star. It's just rife with opinion. Wrote a similarly favorable review of the film, praising it for its pacing, setting, performances, and Copperfield's magic tricks. Writing for the Statesman Journal, we're fucking scraping for this.
We are scraping, yes.
Ron Cohen commended the cinematography and noted that although the film started poorly, it had some thrills near its end. All the way at the end. Mm-hmm. All the way at the end. Very, very last bit. At the 8th Saturn Awards, Terror Train was nominated for Best International Film because none of the other films made it, losing to Scanners, which, goddamn, it should have. Mm-hmm. While Curtis was nominated for Best Actress, losing to Angie Dickinson for Dress to Kill. At the second Genie Awards, Terror Train was nominated for Best Achievement in Art Direction because the people nominating were blind. Best Achievement in Overall Sound.
Because
they were deaf.
Yes.
And Best Music Score.
I can't.
I can feel like you could take some musical staves and throw down some fucking toothpicks and have somebody figure out some freeform jazz and have done a way better job.
I can't remember a single thing about the score, and usually I'm pretty good at like paying attention to the score.
I was texting you how shitty that music was.
Yeah.
I'm with Eric. I don't remember it at all.
I do not pay attention to music in movies, hardly ever, unless it's Conan, because that's the best film ever made. But this one, it annoyed me. I was looking for something to try to be entertained. So I started listening to the music. I was like I said, I was even texting you like, "Hey, how about these lyrics?"
I liked the cheesy disco band that was playing. You know, that kind of I kind of enjoyed them because they had the female bassist and she's holding her bass straight up because there's not enough room on the train to play it normally. So she had it up kind of tilted. I remember that. And what was the name of the song? Something about funky something.
Hold on. I don't know. I was irritated. Did I text it to all of us or just to you?
I think just to me.
Oh. That was my best joke was in ours too. So that was no, it's not in the one I sent to you.
Maybe it's in general.
Oh, I just want your funky love.
Yeah.
I just want your funky love.
This is a long distance dedication from Kenny to Alana. I just want your funky love.
All right. Shall we talk about Rolling Stone and what they had to say about this? Yes, do the
retrospective reviews. These are kind of funny when they go back and look at the movie.
Rolling Stone dismissed the film, but singled out its cast and crew, noting the marquee talent of Copperfield, Johnson, Spotswood, Alcott, and Vanity, each of whom went on to better things. All movie praised Alcott's cinematography, but concluded Terror Train is middling and only of interest to devoted slasher films fans. Yeah, keep that hand raised up, dude. They're talking to you. While Time Out London said it was better than the other films of its type, a review in Leonard Maltin's movie guide concurred, claiming that the stylish photography and the novelty of the killer donning the costume of each successive victim lift this slightly above most of its disreputable genre, granting the film 2 out of 4 stars. Paul Lay of Bloody Disgusting wrote, Terror Train is an imperfect film with dull murder sequences. However, he felt the film's strengths. We've had the flu at my house. Felt the film's strengths outweighed its flaws, praising Copperfield's role. Film scholar Adam Rockoff praised the film for being stylish and atmospheric. Horror fiction scholar John Kenneth Muir. What a great title. We need to do that for ourselves.
I know. I want to be, when they ask me, what are you? I'm a horror film scholar.
Yeah, how do we get that?
I know.
I'll look it up.
We got to think of some good titles. I'm tired of being stuff like douchebag, dickhead. I want something better. I feel like I deserve that. We weren't morons. What were we? What did that guy call us? Buffoons. We were buffoons. Yeah, okay. Anyway, John Kenneth Muir praised the film in his book Horror Films of the 1980s. The thrill of a picture like Terror Train is the shrewd manner in which it plays against audiences' expectations. The sense that the slasher film
to be entertained.
That was what we were looking for. Gives it the parameters which can then be undercut, subvert, and if needed be violate. Zachary Paul of Bloody Disgusting said Terror Train is not as acclaimed as other slasher films starring Curtis, but deemed it a personal favorite. It is also noted that Paul spends a lot of time alone. He also praised the film's suspenseful third act and twist ending. Twist ending?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Adding as soon as you saw The Magician's Assistant, and the biggest piece of magic that David Copperfield could have done is to make her Adam's apple disappear. Then I would have had more of a suspension of disbelief.
Got the pressed fruit bowl when you could see his tuck hanging down when they levitated him. Adding that slasher fans should seek out the movie. Patrick Fogarty of Collider deemed Terror Train the most fun and subversive 1980s teen slasher movie. He praised it for having intelligent characters. I'm just going to pause and let that soak in for everybody out there. He praised it for having intelligent characters as well as the racially diverse casting of Sherwood and Vanity. Terror Train is considered a cult classic. On the review aggregator website Rotten Tomatoes, Terror Train holds 47% approval rating based on 17 critics, with an average of 5.1 of 10.
I think this is very, very low on the slasher scale. I mean, it's not like schlocky, awful, like, I mean, what's the graduation day where they cast different people in different roles and they get fired and they have a whole new different crew and of people that you don't even notice. They want you to not notice and stuff like that, where it's like really, really low budget, or The Exterminator or something like that. But it is not as good as like Halloween or something like that, or even Sleepaway Camp. Sleepaway Camp is 10 times better than this movie. And that's a bad movie.
That's some bad movie, Harry.
But I mean, it's just, being a slasher movie fan, I still enjoy it because it's a slasher movie. So I have a high tolerance for, to watch these movies and, enjoy them. So, yeah. Is that Vanity? I think she's a nasty.
Sorry, Eric. I got something here. Is it worse than the last horror film we watched that Christmas? What was the kind of perverted Santa one?
Oh, Silent Night, Deadly Night?
Yeah.
I think Silent Night, Deadly Night is better than Terror Train.
Yeah, way better.
Yeah.
I have come through varied times on this podcast, but I feel like I'm coming through right now with the answer to how you become a horror film scholar.
Okay.
Can I share it?
Yes.
Oh, hell yes.
To become a horror film scholar, you'll need to immerse yourself in the genre, engage in critical analysis, and potentially pursue academic studies related to film and horror.
Done.
So there's 5 steps. You need to deepen your horror knowledge. Right? We've probably done that. One of the things in there says to attend a horror film festival. Okay. Another one is develop.
I do want to try to get to a convention and hand out cards for our podcast and stuff like that sometime this year in Denver. So
yeah. Well, there you go. We can check that one off. Eric, we need to put a spreadsheet together for you. Okay, number 2. There's like a bunch of things underneath these lists, but number 2 is develop critical analysis skills, which I think you have. And it's one of them says practice writing about horror. You write the show notes every time, so you can check that one off your box. All right, here we go. Pursue academic studies. Consider specialized areas of study.
Giallo.
Yep, there you go. And the last one is publish your work.
We do it every week.
Yeah, so I'll put the link.
Week.
I'm going to put the link in the notes, and I'd like to see a spreadsheet, and you could put all a green box.
Knock them all down. Yeah.
I'll put in the notes right
that
now.
Would be good. I'm surprised you still like Giallo, especially after the Bill Cosby thing.
What's the pudding? Yeah, so let's talk about the plot.
Giallo pudding pops. Well, no one else was going to do it.
You put a picture of Vanity from Playboy, which is, I prefer Apollonia to Vanity in the Prince Paramore playoffs. Maybe Sheena Easton.
Only when she baptized herself in the waters of the mighty Lake Minnetonka.
Yeah, that's true. That I was going to tell you a story about Purple Rain, but it's too personal.
From the look on your face, I'm like, I can fucking don't go there, dude. I've heard some of these stories before, and I recognize that look. Like, please, no, don't. You don't want that out there for everybody to know.
I don't want to care.
We all know shit about each other that should never be mentioned in public.
Anyway, Terror Train, the plot. Starts out with the 20th Century Fox logo. They're at the fraternity party, and it's around New Year's, and that's pretty much the reason I picked the movie. Is it's a New Year's movie, and there's also New Year's Evil, but I don't know if it's as well known as Terror Train. But apparently, Terror Train's not very well known because neither of you had seen it yet. A hazing incident goes awry, and I guess Doc, the main asshole of the group, is a pre-med student, so he gets his hands on a cadaver and convinces Jamie Lee Curtis's Alana to entice Kenny upstairs, thinking that he's going to have sex, and then he sees that he's in bed with a corpse, freaks out, yes, wraps himself up in the bedding, the canopy bed. Remember canopy beds? They were huge for a while. Yeah, and he freaks out, and then boom, 3 years later.
Adam Sandler owes that guy from royalties. That was a really good water boy sound he was making while he was
Something's wrong
spinning.
with your medulla oblongata. Vanity and Apollonia. So 3 years later,
For the people at home, there is now a picture of Apollonia on the show notes.
Mm-hmm. So 3 years later, I wrote in the notes, "So slow, can't wait for people to die." So that was my personal opinion so far. And they say there's no radio on the train, but does that ever play into the plot at all? Really doesn't. Like what they're supposed to do, you know. I don't know.
Well, there's no roads up there, and if they get out and walk, they're going to die.
Yeah, so there was nothing. They said that specifically. There's no radio on the train, so I thought that would play in somewhere, but apparently it doesn't. Everybody is annoying, and there's this guy. His name's Edward, and he's dressed up in like a Groucho Marx costume, very shticky. And he gets stabbed. Nobody cares, and nobody pays attention because they think it's just him being him, and that's our first kill. So, and I think one of the reviewers did mention that the only good concept is that the killer switches costumes after each kill. And I think that was a good concept, but pretty much everything else is bad. David, what was your feel about the killer? What are your opinions about the killer overall?
Well, I would say the movie had such an impact on me that I didn't even realize that the killer was switching into the costumes as the person he killed. Halfway through, I just lost all hope. And now I would say this. Usually I just start cleaning the house or something, but I did actually pause the movie and I didn't actually skip it. But yeah, the killer was pretty weak. And
yeah,
I figured out, I think the second magic show, who the killer was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's when I was like, oh, that's that person right there.
Yeah, it's the magician's assistant. As soon as you see her, though, as soon as you see it, like, oh, there's a magician's assistant. Oh, that's a killer.
Well, I'm a little slow. It took me the second time to see her.
Yeah. Neil, your opinions about the killer?
I believe this was not a killer to be set aside lightly. This was a killer to be thrown with great force.
Well, the plot is basically the same as Prom Night, where
Dude,
Prom Night was done.
Wait, hold on. I know this is not politically correct at all, but I live in the fucking San Francisco Bay Area. As soon as that shit came on the screen, I'm like, wait, I feel like Leonardo DiCaprio in the movie. I'm like, oh, whoa, hey, whoa, right there.
Yeah. And I was looking at a list of movies that use trans characters as tropes. This is included on them, but it's not really made clear whether the killer is trans or just disguising themselves to kill people on the train.
I'm gonna go with disguise. I'm gonna go with disguising.
Disguise, yeah.
I'm gonna go with disguising, just because of his sheer interest in the stump earlier in the film.
Mm-hmm. So
that's boxing Helena to a whole other level.
Yeah, they spent a lot of time with the crew, and the crew's giving their opinions about trains and all sorts of shit, and it goes nowhere, and it's just padding out time, just like the magic show with David Copperfield, who was only 24 at the time, and apparently was not a very good actor, couldn't remember his lines, and they pad that out quite a bit. This movie has the stink of the 70s all over it. It's just almost like Prom Night has a stink of the 70s on it, but it's got it's more fun. And the beginning is similar, where a tragedy happens, and then somebody who witnesses it is the killer, like in Prom Night, where the kids are screwing around and the little girl falls out the window, and you see somebody unknown watching her, and it turns out to be her brother. With this one, the tragedy happens. We're not sure what happened with old Kenny, but it turns out to be Kenny.
How would you not know? I mean, they gave it away. Like, what? You knew it was going to be Kenny. You just didn't know how he was going to be there.
Yeah, exactly. So there's really no suspense at all in the movie.
You know what? As long as we're talking about it, there wasn't a dance battle. There was no disco.
Yes,
there was no
they
disco
didn't
battle.
let Jamie Lee Curtis, let her disco freak flag fly like she did in Prom Night, where they gave her an extended dance scene.
Super disappointing.
Mm-hmm. And I did watch when I'm watching like 45 minutes of Prom Night after this, because it's on Tubi. It just went from one movie to the next. It just said, if you like this, then you'll like this. And it started Prom Night. And
just the way she got choked, just both hands straight up. No fighting, no nothing. Just
I know.
straight up strangle and then straight to the ground.
Mitchie, she's the only hot girl in the movie. Lots of disco, lots of magic. And Mo, who is the sleazy boyfriend of Alana, played by Jamie Lee Curtis. He's actively trying to score with another lady. And did you pick up that Doc had some sort of like homoerotic vibes towards Mo?
Yeah.
When he's talking to him, he's like, "Oh, if you lose her, at least you got me." And he's like, "I'm serious." And they like look at each other, and you're like, "Well, all right, well,
yeah,
well, there it is, yeah."
I'm gonna pull a train on the terror train. No.
That was incredibly straightforward and bold. Like, he's all right, cool.
Yeah, that was a little progressive for
Yeah, run the flag out there, dude. Go.
Exactly. It was interesting. Mo's dead. He gets stabbed somehow when the magic show is going on. It's obviously the magician's assistant. When the car goes black, stabs him. Doc's freaking out.
Oh, good one, Doc. Good one. Oh, this is great. Good job.
They pull everybody off the train. They figure that he's one of the killer is on the train, and then Doc takes Alana, locks her in the train car, and then he gets killed. And they had the worst fake head I've ever seen for somebody who's been killed.
That was pretty good. You know what? I was enjoying the conductor's speech. Let us through. Let us through. Is that what you want to do, son? Is that what you want to do? You want to kill him? He killed one of ours. Step out of the way. And all threatening. There was a big pause. Step out of the way. Pause. Sir. And then he hands him the thing, and he's all right. Get in there and do it. Then he was
the guy who played
so older and wise.
Yeah, the guy who played the conductor is Ben Johnson. He was in a lot of westerns. Go ahead, Dave.
You said something about the speech there, and that made me think of something. Throughout the whole movie, nobody used their words. Like, did you ever nobody just completed a full fucking sentence to tell somebody what was going on? What was going on? Like, just get back here. And like the conductor didn't tell anybody that he saw the dead person. He just goes back, gets a cup of coffee, and goes, well, it's like it kind of drags on. He just doesn't tell him like, yeah, there's a dead motherfucker in the bathroom. Like,
it's just sitting there staring at those bud cans, man.
Yeah. Did anybody else notice that? Throughout the whole, it didn't matter the character. Like, there was never anything was like the loop wasn't closed on anything. When they could have just said, hey, hold on. Let's use your words, complete a sentence.
One thing I noticed, and that I always think is a fun throwback, is like if there's like in the 70s and 80s movies, early 80s movies, 70s, that if there's like an exclusively male workplace, that there's always nudie mag nudie mag centerfolds put around in the back room. And that was like common stuff back in the day. You would go to like a mechanic shop or something, and he's got the full, Penthouse Pet poster.
Yeah, or the calendar on the inside of the calendar on the inside of the toolbox door.
Yeah. So the only part I think consider suspenseful is when she figures out that the magician is dead, and then knows that Kenny is running around, and he's wearing the old man mask, and she's locked in that cage, and he's knocking out the lights in the car and stuff like that. That was the only part I was like, okay, that's kind of suspenseful, and it's kind of cool. And I kind of thought that was like the way it was shot actually looked pretty good. and then she takes the receipt spike and stabs him in the face with it. That was kind of cool. And she's, doing the final girl gambit, running and fighting and stuff like that. I thought that was actually kind of decent. It picks up a little bit.
Where did his wounds go? Is he just that scrappy? Is she impaled him at one point?
Oh, yes, she stabbed him. And
she impaled him at one point. She rammed that thing into his face, and then he slaps back on that creepy-ass clear mask. Not a single mark on this guy. Kiss me. Kiss me.
I thought he had I thought they had the one on the cheek was there. I
don't remember it standing out like you would if you got stabbed in the fucking face.
But it looked nothing. It didn't look like a puncture wound. It was like this drag.
A divot, like a script, yeah.
It was like a red mark.
Well, after he falls out of the train car, you think he falls out, and you see he comes back. And the only other shot that was kind of scary is when she's laying in the train car, and you see him kind of like creeping around like a vampire or something. How the hell is he hanging upside down?
Yeah, I was about to say
like that.
Guy, he got bit by a radioactive spider on his way out of the train. Now he can cling to the side of that thing.
Those clear masks are kind of scary, though.
Yes, exact. It was exact same thing. Those used to always fuck me up when I was a kid.
What was it? Sweet Alice was one of those where the killer was wearing that. And there's that 60s rock group, The Crazy World of Arthur Brown, that did that song Fire. And the whole band would wear those freaky, clear masks.
Can we pour one out for the poor train driver?
Yeah.
We didn't even know what happened to that guy, but it was another excuse for him to like sit there and like finger the blood. He just, there's some blood. No, Daddy wants to touch.
He both got him. He both got him. Yeah, he got them both.
Sit there and touch that. Oh, can I? My best joke.
Mm-hmm.
Or the head porter got stabbed, became the dead porter.
Dead porter. Hold on, you deserve a rim shot there. All right.
Yeah,
there you go.
I had to text you that shit because my wife is watching the movie with me, and I looked at her head porter, dead porter. She just stared at me and she goes, "I am not going to forgive you for having to watch this."
Yeah, Jamie watched it with me too, and she was actually like intently watching it for a little bit, and then out came in the iPad, and then she started playing Words with Friends and Mahjong and all that kind of stuff like that. And she would only look up, every once in a while I was still trying to, I was making stupid puns and other things like that too, and she just rolls her eyes. She's immune to my humor.
We have to figure out how to do a watch party. We have to figure out how to do a watch party this year and invite people to it. We need to do that. Make it an event.
I know you can do them on Amazon, and you just put out the link to people, or you can post it on Instagram or something like that, and see if people want to join in or something. Figure out what movie we want to watch. I think we should watch a movie that we've done already, so we already have entertaining things kind of to add already. But,
we need to do that. Like tell everybody when we're going to do it, and then put it out, and then hang and wait. And I think that it could be a lot of fun because these movies, the whole reason we watch these movies because they were way more fun to watch with each other.
Yeah, talk shit about them.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. So at the end of the movie, he gets Alana to kiss him, and that immediately triggers him, and he decides to roll himself up into the closest thing, to a blanket. He starts doing the little roll yourself up in a burrito blanket, and then the conductor knocks him out of the train. And I do like the long fall of the dummy, and he lands into the ice, into the water, and just floats down the river a little bit, and then you see the train moving, and then it's over. That was it. What I think about the movie is that it feels rushed. It's boring because nobody planned it or wrote anything to fill it. There's really no character development. What do you know about Alana's character other than she visited Kenny in the hospital, but she couldn't see him, and somehow she knows that he killed somebody else? But she never has any sort of like internal dialogue. You don't really see her talk to anybody else with anything meaningful. Everybody else is boring and mean. Nobody's likable,
or just background noise.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just not a good movie. Not a good movie. I enjoyed it because it's a slasher and it had a few things that I liked about it, but it's too long. It's like an hour and 37 minutes. It should be, they could have cut 7 minutes out of that movie easily, and you would have not lost anything and have one of those 90-minute, let's get this shit done slasher movies.
I think 90 minutes is still a little bit too much.
We didn't need 10 minutes of magic or 7 minutes of train talk with the with the crew on the train. Yeah.
I think my favorite part, or the part that had me laughing the most, was when Doc, he was the bully guy, right? Kind of the lead asshole. When Mo was his boyfriend, right? Or the guy that he offered himself up to.
Yeah.
If he gets lonely. Was when Mo died and how Doc was just being a complete dick to everybody prior to. And then Mo dies and he starts screaming like a little bitch and running down the train with Mo in his hands, like, help me! It just completely changes. And then
he did kind of make a big fuss.
Yeah.
You know, when he
and then he's just being a complete dick to Jamie Lee Curtis when he takes her back in that room. Is like, this is where it is. And then he starts checking the place. Then when he starts getting attacked, he starts yelling like a little bitch again.
Mm-hmm. And he just sees a hand on his shoulder, and he assumes it's Mitchie, like it's a big prank. And then he gets you see the knife come into his head, and he does a weird yelp.
Yeah, that's my favorite
away.
character development.
Yeah. At least he had a little bit. There's a little nuance in him, kind of,
You can see some emotion in that young man.
On Shudder, there is the greatest horror movies or series, and they did a thing about animal movies or monster movies, and I saw a movie that I must see. It's called Day of the Animals, and it's got a half-naked Leslie Nielsen wrestling with a bear in the movie. It came out in 1977, and it's like one of those animals gone amok because the ozone is depleting, and the animals run around. So I'm going to try to see it if we could do this, if it's good enough for us to do for the podcast. But it looks insane. It's available on Amazon, Tubi, Pluto, Sling, Roku channel. So it's out there. The Day of the Animal. So if anybody's seen The Day of the Animal, let us know what your opinions of it are, and of Terror Train. And this is the moment you get to hit us up, rvspodcast222 and gmail.com, if you have any suggestions or comments or anything you'd like us to cover this upcoming year. I know we're going to do, what do we have on the slate for next week? I think we have a Buckaroo Banzai is next week.
Looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it's a classic. So the adventures of Buckaroo Banzai across the 8th dimension. And then we're going to do Kickboxer with Van Damme on the 25th. So little variety, little sci-fi, little kung fu. Then we get into Fantasy February. Throwing some stuff in there. Then Monster March. And we're going to do a new...
What's after that?
We're going to do a new concept. We're going to do Adult April with some salacious movies. I've already got Dress to Kill, Fatal Attraction, Sliver, and Body Double all possibly on the docket for Adult April. Not the Story of O or Purple Rain, but maybe we'll see.
I've seen Purple Rain, and I am to this day unsure of what the fucking plot was.
It's about the guy Prince, who is the kid trying to make it in Minneapolis, and feeling pressure of living up to his father's expectations, and then the time is trying to take their gig, and he realizes he has to collaborate with his bandmates in order to make it, the revolution, which he quickly fired after this movie. Actually, I think the Revolution were in Under the Cherry Moon, that other movie that he made, which is fucking awful.
Morris Day and the motherfucking Time.
Yes.
Do 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 do.
Jungle Love and The Bird. Yep. I have the Time Ice Cream Castles on vinyl.
Jay from Jay and Silent Bob pays perfect homage to The Time.
Yeah.
The Time. So good.
Did I mention we are on Blue Sky and we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, sort of on Threads, not on Twitter.
Yeah, Threads. I kind of fell back on that.
I think Blue Sky is where it's at, so I'll do the Blue Sky updating.
Yeah. I was gonna do Threads, but I just since late November has been kind of a bad time.
We're gonna try our best to grow the podcast this year and get more listeners, and so we value you, the listener. We'll read your email if you send us an email, and we appreciate you listening. And,
you can always buy us a cup of coffee too.
Yeah, buymeacoffee.com. Look up the Retro Video Store and buy us a cup of coffee. That helps pay for the all the storage and publishing of the podcast. So, final thoughts on Terror Train, David?
It should only be a once in a lifetime event.
Okay, you're not gonna watch it 5 times like me.
I don't know how the hell.
I don't watch it 5 times in a row. I've watched it 5 times over like a 50-year period.
I don't know how the hell you watched it 5 times, and then at this one you're like, it's kind of slow.
I didn't realize how slow it was until I watched it this time. I was like, Jesus, this is slow.
Yeah, watch it once, and there you go. It's entertaining, but only watch it once and then forget about it.
Yeah. Neil, final thoughts on Terror Train?
This is not a movie to be set aside lightly. This is a movie to be cast aside with great force.
All right. Cool. Well, watch Buckaroo Banzai.
Honestly, the best part of this fucking movie was the pictures I put in the notes.
Yes. Apollonia and Vanity. Yep. So listen to Nasty Girl by Vanity 6. It's a nasty song. They made me feel weird things back in the 80s. Yeah. All right.
See you guys.
Everybody have a good week.
Thank you for listening to the Retro Video Store Podcast.